Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Quarbit, your host today for Imperator Rome, and welcome to the 1.2 Cicero beta patch notes for the brand new update that came out on Thursday. Well, it's not entirely an update, of course, it's still in beta, but I decided, well, it's been a few days, it's going to come out in a little while, I might as well cover the main stuff that they added already. So, let's take a look at what they have to offer today. I mean, it's going to be the same sort of format as the last update thing, and I'm pretty surprised, actually, at how quickly they managed to put out this here update. Actually, I might want to zoom in a little bit. That might be a good idea, so you guys have a much easier time to see what I'm looking at here. So, obviously, you can access the beta through various means, kind of like last time. You can do it through Steam or through your GOG. I don't even know what GOG is, I just bought it through Steam. But anyway, yeah, you can, however you bought it, you can probably get your way to the 1.2 beta, the Cicero beta. I believe it's called the Cicero, unless it's Cicero, but I imagine it's Cicero. I'm not even entirely sure. I don't speak Latin or anything. So, anyway, let's look at the new features. So, there are a hell of a new things that they added this time. I mean, a main big thing is that there's no more power, and we'll talk about that later on. Like, no, there's kind of power, but not really power points the same way that mana works anymore. So, now, yeah, we'll talk about that later. So, anyways, you can now disband low cohorts at double the cost. That's fantastic, because those things were hell annoying. You had to pay to keep them, you had to, sort of maintain them, even if they were loyal and you couldn't, like, actually get rid of them. That kind of sucked, but you can get rid of them now. Unfortunately, that means that if they were loyal to someone and that person decides to rebel, then of course they actually still count towards the power base and they will be raised as experienced cohorts. So, there you go. You can get rid of them, but it sort of depends on a lot of stuff, your whole stability and stuff like that. Pops now no longer instantly promote to another type. Of course, you might have seen this already if you have been playing the beta, and if you haven't, then here's what's going on. Basically, what'll happen with culture conversions or promotions or, religious conversions, it'll happen over time, based on, like, it'll try to balance itself out to a certain percentage value, which we'll see more of later on, but essentially, it'll try to do it automatically, and it'll have, like, this whole process it'll go through, so it'll take a little while instead of you just spending points, and I personally like that a little bit better. It also has a whole bunch of, like, factors that can influence that you can, you can get a higher percentage of, I don't know, citizens if you want to. It all depends on how you build your cities and stuff, because they added a whole bunch of new stuff as well. So, yeah, everything takes a little while, and you can now open a new interface that looks at what that does, and you'll see that later on. Maybe if I decide to put some snippets of gameplay, you'll see that later on. But pops now migrate over time to neighboring cities. This is fantastic, especially for, slaves. They typically get captured and put to your capital. I think they did change that in the last update. Some of them get spread out a little bit, but if your capital gets overrun with whatever, then of course they will start to migrate away. And if a city is starving, probably instead of, like, just sitting there and dying, they'll migrate away. I mean, obviously, that's the obvious option here, so I'm glad that's a thing now. Manual movement of pops is still now possible for slaves, for everyone. Like, every single nation can do that for slaves, but also tribesmen if you're playing as a tribe, which I tried out, so it's not bad. I actually like that concept. So, monarch power has been completely removed. I said I would talk about this, and now here we are. So yeah, it's completely gone. So you no longer have to worry about, like, your 5 different points for your ruler or anything. It's a lot different now. They just give you random, like, characteristics, more or less, rather than anything else. Yeah, so instead you have political influence. Political influence is something kind of, it reminds me a lot of the Hoi system. If you've ever played Hoi, you know exactly what this is. It's used for a lot of various things. It's not used for advisors, those are different in this game entirely. But if you want to, like, say, get a claims work the exact same in Hoi. No, yeah, anyway. They work the exact same in Imperator as they do in Hoi now. So you spend some political power, it takes a little bit of time, you get the claim, you lose the claim after a while, and you have to declare the war, all that stuff. So that functions the exact same as in Hoi now, if you were wondering. So there you go. Political influence can also be used to change your, national ideas or implementing laws, stuff like that. Right, next we have experience. Unit experience no longer decays from losses in combat, but instead over time. That makes no sense, but you know what? I'm not a game dev, so whatever, sure, go ahead with that. All armies now have access to a drilling ability. Okay, great, that sounds fantastic. I think I've used that before. It costs, like, the maintenance is maintained, I believe. I don't think it brings you up to regular maintenance like it does in like an EU4. So your maintenance is like still the same thing, but it gives them more XP. And XP is used for, they take less damage in combat, so that's great. You'll notice that a lot more. XP is also used for military traditions, which you'll see is also reworked right about here. Let's just start highlighting the things I'm talking about. Alright, so reworked military traditions right here. Military traditions are now acquired using military experience, which is also affected up here. So there's a countrywide value that sort of sits there, but there's also, if you train and drill your troops, they'll also sort of contribute to that. And then there's also war exhaustion. So the more exhausted your country is from war, then the more you actually get of military experience, which I don't know how that works, but I guess it just does, sure. Yeah, and of course relying on mercenaries reduces the speed that it accumulates by. So if you want to get your military traditions, now you actually gotta work for them instead of just relying on mercs and just throwing everything you have out the window, essentially. I like the system a lot better now. It feels like you actually need to keep your troops maintained, which I haven't been doing a very good job of course, but it feels a lot better in my opinion than just waiting, like, what was it, like the mandatory 52 months or something like that before you get a new one? Or was it a little longer than that? Or maybe it's 12 years. I don't even know. It was a hell of a long time. You just had to sit there, and it was a set amount that you just sat there and you waited for the amount, and then there you go. You got your military tradition. I like this a lot better. It's a lot more proactive. I love it, actually. So next we have the 11 new building types. I'm not going to go through them all, of course. Oh my god, there's so many things you can do with these things. Honestly, there are 15 in total now, by the way. That's a hell of a lot. It feels a lot more like EU4 with how many buildings you get. They do a lot of different things, like a ton of different things. Some have like civilization values. Civilization is like so much easier to get as a tribe now, which is great. There's a lot of things that like inadvertently help the tribes a lot, so I'm kind of happy for that. Fabricating claims, already talked about that. New character interaction to bestow a regional nickname on governors has been added. Sure, I mean, that's just flavor, I suppose. You can just give a regional nickname on governors. New character interaction to impose corruption sanctions on a character has been added. Okay, so reduces their corruption at a cost of loyalty and tyranny. Okay, that's cool. Next, we have to move on to the game balance. Oh, wow, this is rather large up to here. We can talk about interface. Nothing is as important as what they did last time with the macro builder, if you guys remember that. That's fantastic. They haven't updated that yet, by the way. They haven't updated that at all. Like, this still just gives you like a percent thing instead of actually calculating it, which is fine. We'll wait for that. That's okay. We're still in beta, of course. You gotta expect things to not work or things to be incomplete. But yeah, okay, let's head back over to the game balance. So, as for game balance, each holding now gives a boost to commerce income in a city which they're situated. Okay. Economic policy for wages now only affect those characters that are getting wages. Okay, that's solid, actually. Because, wait, that makes, like, no sense, actually. Only affect characters that were getting wages. Of course, they were only getting wages in the first place. Okay, cool, that's fine. Economic policy for wages reduced to 0.05 loyalty when increased, down from 1. Okay. So if you boost it up, then you don't get as much loyalty from them as you used to. It's half as much, actually, so you have to give them twice as much money, essentially. Twice as much of a boost of money, actually. Building cost inventions previously targeting specific buildings are converted from 0.05 build cost, with the exception of granaries. Okay, alright, gotcha. For a second, I'm like, I'm having like a small brain fart here. I don't know what this is actually talking about. But no, what it means is essentially there were some things that only worked for, say, what were the 4 things? There was like marketplace, the granary, the oh god, there was the military building, and there was one more, but I don't remember. Essentially, there were each of those things that you could get from inventions, like how much they cost. But now it's just been condensed down to a build cost rather, and then like build cost for all the 15, and except for the granaries. Granaries get their own thing, of course. Still, I don't know why, but they just do. Next, all traits building, okay. Who build costs are now 0.05 instead of 0.1. Okay, cool. Government rank now increases political influence gain. That makes sense, actually. Ruler marshal now increases manpower recovery. Oh yeah, they changed all these things. I talked about that earlier. They just changed things from, like, giving you points, which no longer exist. They still have the things now. Martial, finesse, charisma, and zeal. They still exist. They just changed a lot of things for what they do, actually. So you can read all this yourself if you want to. It's just better, actually. So disloyal characters are less likely to be elected in a republic. That makes sense, because you're not actually that loyal to the republic itself. So I don't know why you would be elected, but cool. as the Senate is less likely to trust them. Okay, yeah, there's also that. There's also that. I was thinking something different, but that makes sense too. Standardized construction idea reduced to minus 0.2 build cost and speed from minus 0.3. Okay, cool. Consort and co-ruler will now use the finesse instead of rulers for governor policies of higher. Will now use the finesse instead of rulers. Oh, okay. So for governor policies. Oh yeah. Okay. So for things that actually apply to governor policies, then like you'll use the consort stuff. Their traits for being rulers. So like, you know how each character has like, if ruling then this, then what'll happen is your consort will actually, or your co-ruler of course, will now take over if it's better for governor policies. So that's kind of how that works. Next, characters' families now keep track of how many children they have in total. Did they lose track in the first place? Did they lose track before? It's like, oh, don't forget about Billy. Who again? Like, did they forget? Did they forget the first time? Like, I don't actually know. Court size limit lowered to 120. Okay, so you can only have about, if you have 10 families with 12 children, I guess that's the max. Or, wait, no, 12 members, I suppose. Foreign characters will now have less children. Okay, that's just a random balance change. Families with less than 4 current children will now be allowed to have more children. Okay, that's cool. Commanders now earn more gold and popularity from taking cities. I don't know what to think about that. In theory, that should be fine, actually. Yeah, that should be fine, actually. Frequency of disloyalty schemes has been... Oh, that's great. Fun. Okay. Magnitude of disloyalty schemes has been increased. Okay. Yeah, I've seen a lot more murder happen in my games recently. So that's probably why. That's probably it. Next, units popularity from naval combat is no longer 1% of what it should be. Oh, right, okay. That was a random balance change. Cohorts loyal to a rebel commander, but not in their current army, will be disbanded at the start of a civil war and turn to veteran cohorts for that commander. That makes sense, actually. You can now move regular cohorts loyal to a character to another unit. Wait, hold on. You can now move regular cohorts loyal to another character to another unit. Oh, yeah, that's what you were supposed to be able to do. I was wondering if that was, like, implemented as a feature in the game or not, because it was actually kind of frustrating. Regular cohorts... Okay, so, essentially... Cohorts loyal to a certain character, you can now actually move them to a different unit. Surprising, I know, right? They're not like mutually exclusive with each other anymore, which is great because there used to be massive issues with that. Like really big issues with that. So I'm glad that's been changed. War and Peace power base for subject loyalty is based around low cohorts, not total population comparison. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I guess it makes it easier for subjects to break free. It is no longer possible to demand gold as part of a peace treaty. I saw that. Goddamn it. I noticed that, and I don't know why. I don't understand that part, actually. Why would you do this, Paradox? Huh? It's not hurting anyone. Just let us have our gold. Like, just let us have our gold. Like, goddamn. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Even slightly. Not at all. Not one bit. And I gotta admit, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. The first time I was just demanding a peace, I was like, oh, let me just do the regular things, the full annexation, and give me the gold. And then I'm like, wait, hold on. Where to go? Why am I being punished here? Why am I not allowed to just loot their stuff? I mean, is it part of just like, once you take it, then there are events that allow you to loot? Is that why? Maybe? I don't actually know, honestly. That's kind of weird. Anyway. Bond religious bonus. Thought it'd be non-religious bonus. Okay, Bond. Oh, yeah, Bond is a religion. My bad. Bond is a religion, where's that? I want to say, close to Tibet-ish. Oh, God, I don't want to be wrong. But yeah, Bond is a religion, and their bonus has been reduced from minus 0.1 to minus 0.15. Oh, no, it's been from 0.15, and now it's 0.1. Gotcha, okay. Cities and provinces, governor policies are now scaled by the finesse of the governor/ruler. Okay, that's good. Encouraged trade is now plus 33% commerce instead of plus 10% commerce and plus 1 trade route. Oh yeah, they changed things. They changed a couple things with cities and provinces. This is one of the things. I guess this is the only thing, actually. I thought I noticed more things, but no, I guess this is it. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, trade routes I've noticed are so much easier to get because you can do a lot of things. Did they actually... They didn't note it in the bug, in the patch notes actually, but they did change something else. They changed something else, and that is... You now have, state things, I might just pop it up to just show you, because it's not in the patch notes, and I don't know why. It's a really, really big thing. State investments. State investments are now a thing, and I don't know why they didn't put them in the patch notes, but they exist. Yeah, I'm not seeing them anywhere else here. They're not in the patch notes, but yeah, what you can do is essentially you can spend your political power, and you can improve your states for various different ways. And one of those things is actually getting a trade route, and you can do that as many times as you want, so playing tall is extremely viable now. Well, not extremely, but it's much, much, much more viable, okay? So, essentially, yeah, it's just good. It's just good. There's so many new things you can do, and there are 4 different state investments you can do with your political power. It's great. It's great, actually. So, I don't know why. They should have put it in the patch notes. It's kind of important, so anyway. Moving on to pop. Slaves will no longer be sent to cities that are at their population capacity limit. You see, that's what I was also talking about. Yeah, instead they will be spread out to nearby cities. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Slaves now produce more gold. Oh, as if you had to give us more money, like goddamn. Oh, it's not that difficult to get money in the game already, but they decided, let's just give them some more. Sure, that's cool. I'll take it. I'll take it. Why not? Tribes now have less happiness. That's not how you spell happiness. But anyways, tribes have less happiness penalties with other cultures. I guess maybe they just sort of keep to themselves. They're not forced to congregate or anything. So tribe pumps are just sort of chilling by themselves. And finally, trade goods. Fur changed export and capital bonus changed to minus 0.005 experience decay from starting experience. Okay, so that's like, what, 0.5% experience decay? Okay, that's not that bad, actually. It decreases the amount of decays by... That's actually kind of substantial. Because I think it, like, changes per month or something. Yeah. That could be pretty good, actually. Right then, so interface is not, like, I don't want to talk about all the stuff you can do here. I mean, it's just, yeah, so many different things you can do here. But essentially, let's talk about some of the important things. I mean, there's more than just, like, this thing. It says, Art Manager Tooltip for disloyal characters. Now have more information. They did something else. They made it so that, like, at the beginning of the game, you know, when you have your 3 ideas, or maybe 2, it depends on who you're playing, it doesn't give you a pop-up when you haven't selected those yet, but now it does, which is great. So, you know, they should have put that in the patch notes too. They didn't, though. That's cool. They added a Pirate Haven indicator. That's actually pretty good. Barbarian, Diplomatic Trade, and Trade Route map modes. Solid. Miscellaneous things. View pop screen now changes to another province when I click on the map. Trade interface reworked with more information. Okay. New technology pop-ups. Legitimacy and centralization is now shown in the top bar. Great. That was great. I noticed that actually when playing as Caledonia? I swear that's the name of the country I was playing. Yeah, I noticed that in the top right. There's centralization for tribes, which is great. You can now detach damaged ships from a fleet with one press of a button. Great, you could do that in EU4, so I'm glad they put it in here too. All characters with a power base will now be considered as relevant for the disloyal characters in Outliner and Alerts. Okay. Added 2 columns for religious and cultural unity for provinces in the ledger. That's actually really good. And made the event window slightly less squished. Oh, okay, that's something, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the important stuff. They added, like, setup and script and stuff. They added a whole bunch of events, by the way. They added, like, I've noticed some of the flavor events a lot more now. So, maybe it's because they had to fix the triggering, or maybe they had to fix certain things to make them happy. Happy? No, happen. But yeah, I've noticed them a lot more, actually. So, yeah, it's kind of important to see all that stuff. They also changed the name of the Seleucids to the Seleucids. That's probably how it was supposed to be pronounced, but everyone was getting it wrong. Okay, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Everyone's been getting it wrong, so they changed it to Seleucid instead of Seleucid. Okay, it's probably pronounced Seleucid. But anyways, that's pretty much everything that matters. And also, yeah, one thing I did notice is actually stability and performance. They did a couple of rare crash things, but of course they also fixed the fact that it actually runs a little bit smoother in my opinion now. But anyways, for like the 3rd time, I hope you guys enjoyed this whole rundown of the patch notes and all that stuff. A little bit of explanation for what each thing does. But this is Quarbit signing off. Hope you had a fantastic time, and have a fantastic day.